You know, what if I told you that some of the sharpest business strategies out there didn't come from some fancy MBA program, but from the dueling grounds of 17th century Japan? It sounds wild, right? But we're about to dive into a 400-year-old text from Japan's most legendary swordsman, Miyamoto Musashi, and I think you'll be shocked at how relevant his wisdom is today.
So, that's really the big question we're tackling. A samurai warrior who lived centuries before the internet, before global markets, before, well, pretty much everything we know. But you're about to see that the core principles of strategy, of leadership, and of just having the right mindset, they're absolutely timeless.
So, who exactly was this guy Miyamoto Musashi? Well, to put it simply, he was a legend. Born into a Japan just racked by civil war, he spent his entire life mastering what he called the way of the sword. And get this, he was undefeated in over 60 duels. We're not talking about small skirmishes. He often faced multiple opponents or other master swordsmen. Then, in his final years, he basically retreated to a cave and poured a lifetime of strategic genius into his masterwork, the Book of Five Rings.
And here's the part that's so fascinating. This book isn't just a list of sword moves. Musashi himself said that when you really understand the way of strategy, you see it in everything. It's a deep philosophy on how to think, how to adapt, and how to master any challenge, whether that's on a battlefield or, say, in the modern marketplace.
Okay, so Musashi broke down his philosophy into 5 rings, or books, each based on an element. So let's start where he did, by building a solid foundation with the first 2 rings, earth and water.
The Book of Earth is all about the ground you stand on. Musashi taught that before you even think about drawing your sword, you have to know your terrain inside and out. For a business, that terrain is your purpose. It's having this unshakable vision, knowing your mission, your values, and what you do better than anyone else. Because without that solid ground, as Musashi put it, any growth is just temporary.
And the translation from his world to ours is just incredibly direct. For a samurai, terrain was the literal ground. For a leader today, it's the market landscape. Knowing your opponent's reach becomes understanding a competitor's market share. Knowing your own strength is all about your core competencies and values. You see, the core principle is exactly the same.
So, once you have that solid ground, we move to the Book of Water. Musashi loved this analogy. He said strategy should be like water because it's totally fluid. It takes the shape of whatever container it's in, but it's also powerful enough to carve canyons. In business, this is so much more than just being agile. It's about adapting your tactics to the market without ever losing your core purpose. You retain your power as you flow around any obstacle. And check this out. Modern data completely backs up this ancient wisdom. It turns out that a whopping 85% of business success today isn't just about technical know-how. It comes down to soft skills. Things like adaptability, communication, and emotional intelligence. Those are the modern-day expressions of Musashi's water principle in action.
Okay, so you've got your foundation. You know how to be adaptable. Now, how do you actually engage with the competition? Well, that brings us to the next 2 rings, fire and wind. This is all about the heat of battle.
The Book of Fire is the fight itself, that explosive, intense moment of engagement. In the business world, you can think of it as a major product launch or a head-to-head battle with a competitor, like the classic Apple versus Samsung rivalry. Fire is all about timing. It's about seizing opportunities with decisive, powerful action and turning a potential moment into a real victory.
Then there's the Book of Wind. This is basically competitive intelligence. Musashi was adamant about studying other schools of sword fighting, not to copy them, but to understand them. For leaders, this means deeply understanding your competitors' strategies, their company culture, and the larger market trends. It's how you avoid just being a copycat and instead carve out your own unique path to winning.
And these principles have very, very real consequences. Just look at Rolls-Royce. They took decisive, fiery action, restructured their entire foundation, and what happened? Profits more than doubled, and their share price shot up over 60%. But on the flip side, you have Volkswagen, whose slow adaptation to the EV transition shows what happens when you fail to be like water and don't understand the changing winds of the industry.
And the financial impact of leading this way, with a solid foundation and that decisive adaptability, it's just undeniable. Companies that really embody these principles aren't just better places to work, they achieve, on average, 48% higher profitability. This isn't just some abstract philosophy, it's a massive competitive advantage.
So that brings us to the final and maybe the most profound ring of them all. This is a level of mastery that goes way beyond simple tactics or techniques. This is the Book of the Void.
Now, I know the void sounds pretty mysterious, right? But what Musashi was describing is that state where all your training, all your knowledge, and all your experience just fuse together into pure intuition. It's that gut feeling a seasoned leader has. It's when you can act with total clarity and conviction, without a moment's hesitation because you've truly achieved mastery.
And crucially, the void isn't about emptiness. It's about having unparalleled vision. It's the ability to see the patterns that nobody else sees, to anticipate challenges before they arrive, and to sense opportunities that aren't obvious yet. You know, think of Steve Jobs imagining the iPhone. He wasn't just trying to improve a phone, he was intuiting a brand new device that the world didn't even know it needed. That, right there, is the void in action.
So how do we even get there? Well, Musashi's teachings actually lay out a path. It starts with embracing uncertainty, not fearing it. It involves practicing constant, deep reflection on your values and your strategies. And ultimately, it's about learning to trust the intuition that you've earned through years and years of experience.
All right, let's bring this all home and wrap up how this ancient warrior's way gives us a truly powerful framework for today.
So here it is, the full framework, the 5 rings of modern strategy. Earth, that's your rock-solid foundation of values and vision. Water, your agility to adapt. Fire, your decisive action to seize the moment. Wind, your competitive awareness to stay sharp. And finally, the void, your cultivated intuition that guides the whole thing. Together, it's a complete, holistic approach to leadership.
And you know, if there's one single idea that captures Musashi's entire philosophy, I think it's this quote. He truly believed that real mastery isn't about some external tool or secret trick. It's all about cultivating the discipline, the awareness, and the strategic mind that is already within you.
So, I'll leave you with a challenge, one drawn directly from Musashi's own principles. His 9th rule was simple. Do nothing which is of no use. So think about it. In your work, in your strategy, even in your daily habits, what is one useless thing you can just eliminate to sharpen your focus and start walking your own path to mastery?